So there is just two of us as developers. So me, I'm a programmer, and Martin. Martin is an artist. He also handles the marketing stuff, but mainly the art part is his. But we also have a third member, unofficially. It's my sister. She handles marketing, right? So some Facebook posts, some dev blogs she copies over other platforms and stuff like this. So two developers and one marketing girl. Okay, so the marketing strategy. I would say for up to this point, the best like source of new wish lists for our game. So basically, wish lists on Steam determine how your game, how successful your game is before it is released, right? So the best income was YouTube streamers, definitely. We were lucky to get streamed by maybe some of you know him, Splattercat. And after he did his stream, we got a lot of new players. So, but other than that, of course, we sometimes post on Reddit if we have something interesting. So, go on some events in Slovakia and in Europe, and let people play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Also,
just a
like
little
doing
bit-
these devlogs and stuff like this also like helps because it like shows people like some background information on what we are working on and that we are still continuing the development, right? The main devlogs are on Steam, so if you go to our Steam page, you will see all the devlogs in the announcement section. It's all there. I think there is like 10 devlogs total that also explain some background information about the project, some technical stuff for those of you who are developers as well. And yeah, we have one video devlog, but it was very hard to make. I mean, like the amount of effort that needs to be put there is extreme. Yeah. So not sure if we will continue that, but I would love to at some point. 50% of our times we are doing development, and the rest of the 50% of time we are doing either marketing or administration or communication. This tasks eat a lot of our time, but they are also very important. So yeah, I would say it's almost 50 and 50. My colleague Martin, he does most of the marketing, like 80-90%, and yeah, it's taking a lot of his time, which, for example, could be spent on development and making art, you know. So maybe this is like one of the advantage that when you are a bigger studio and you have like dedicated people for marketing, your developers are free to develop the game and work on the game, right? And you have specific marketing people that do this. Yeah. Of course, we also have our sister, the marketing girl, but yeah, she is not like full-time part of the team, so she doesn't have really that much time. Yeah, there was this question whether the demo version attracted any wish lists. I'm not sure I have this information because this is like the marketing is department of my colleague. It attracted some wish lists, like I don't know, like on average 5 to 10 per day. But yeah, it's something, but we hoped for like better results because all this also depends on the Steam algorithm, like where the Steam puts your demo when people are searching for like demo versions or free games. Yeah, so this like some parts we cannot affect.
How do you approach that, balancing such a game?
So like the first part was from my experience of building like, you know, these Unity projects and stuff like this, I learned that you have to design your architecture of your projects in a way that you can change any value in a game during your runtime. So you don't have to stop the game or anything. You just like you have a deer here. If I want to have the deer more health, I just change the slider and it will have a different health right now. So like this technical like backbone or structure of the project was the first part. And the second part was mostly playing it over and over again and testing that like the starting economy. So when you start, like you have a correct amount of resources, the buildings cost are appropriate, so you can build like a lumber mill. You don't end up in a deadlock like where you build something, it gets destroyed, and then you don't have resources to build that stuff again. So in earlier stages of the game, it happened that you built a lumber mill, it got destroyed, and then you couldn't build another lumber mill because it required lumber, but you couldn't get the lumber, so it was basically game over, right? And yeah, like then we implemented like you can harvest resources with hero,
With hero,
so now
yeah.
this doesn't happen, yeah. And like from the game design perspective, we turned this basically weakness that you can get into deadlock, we turned it into a new feature that you can use your hero also for the economy and harvest resources. And we even plan to extend it further, like to have some special perks where you can invest some points to make your hero better at gathering, like to harvest wood faster and stuff like this. Yeah. Okay, there is a question. Did you
Yeah, in the
write
chat,
a
yeah.
game dev document or did you implement the features as you go? Basically, at the start of the development, so this project is very, very old. It started as a 2D game. I was working on it myself without any game design document, like, you know, playing around. Then it was like something like tower defense where you were conquering these tiles and got attacked by some other like orcs or undeads, and it had very little gameplay to it. And yeah, at this point, I didn't have any documents, any plan at all. I was just, you know, playing around. And then later on, when my colleague joined, Martin, we wrote a game design document because, yeah, we wanted to have something official. But at no point, like, we wrote a document about the future feature that we want to implement, because in such a small team you don't really need a design document, because either you're working on the project yourself and then it's in your head, or when you're working in 2 or 3 people, you can always communicate these ideas, right? And if you're such a small team, you have this advantage that other AAA studios don't have, is that you can communicate and discuss these things very easily, and you can very rapidly iterate stuff. But if you have like 10, 15, or 100 people like other studios, you have, you know, this bunch of people that you have to coordinate and they have to somehow work together. So there you need design documents, you need like these diagrams and everything. So any part of the team has to know what he needs to do, right? But here, yeah, we don't really have any documents.
So what did you then actually write? Because you said that you did write some things. What did you then
Yes,
write
yes.
down?
Actually, we were requesting funding from the Slovak. It was Slovak Art Council. So they funded us with some support money, and we had to write design document, art document, and technical document for them. So they can, you know, like go over the project, you know, basically examine it.
So that was the only reason why you wrote something like a wish
yes,
list.
exactly. This was the only document we almost ever wrote, yeah. And yeah, I wrote some. I wouldn't call it a document. Some like brief explanation of hero abilities and biome features in our like it's a task management app, Notion. Maybe some of you know it. So I wrote some the abilities that haven't been implemented yet. So I designed the abilities, wrote what they should do, and also wrote like new enemies that we will have in our band. So this can be called a design document. So this is where I was basically planning my thoughts into a document before we actually implemented them.
Yeah,
So
because
this was the
actually
plan.
you do have, I mean, quite a lot of story for this kind of game, right? And like the cities, and you have descriptions for the cities, and so many different enemies and everything. So I guess this kind of stuff you do have to write somewhere to make sure that it all makes sense, right? Kind of the whole system. No?
We should write it, I agree, but we haven't written it anywhere
I
because, like,
know.
in our Unity project, like, it's all there and we can check it there.
Mm-hmm.
And like having like a duplicate source of like information in somewhere else
Mm-hmm.
would be actually a bit detrimental to our team because it's just two of us and like
Mm-hmm.
maintaining like the name of units their health in a different database or like
Yeah,
document this would be hell to many. So yeah, we don't do this.
that's true
You know,
also.
but in a big companies like you have, for example, Blizzard, you have of course dedicated team that handles this stuff, and they handle only these documents. They are balancing stuff in Excel and sheets, and yeah, then you have the developers that implement it. So there, it
Mm-hmm.
of course makes sense.
So you don't even like you just do the balancing like you mentioned before by playing and directly in the game. You also don't have like Excel sheets for balancing.
No, 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 no.
Mm-hmm.
I
Okay.
think Marty did some Excel sheets for economy, like how fast your worker gathers lumber, then he can buy a building, something like this. I
Mm-hmm.
think I saw it once. Maybe he did some experiments with this, but I personally haven't.
Mm-hmm. Somebody saying Fog of War is really nice.
Thank you. Yeah,
uh,
actually, I think it's a free asset. The Fog of War, yeah. We didn't code it ourselves, but we used a third-party plugin to do it. And it's very nice, yeah. It doesn't really cost even any performance. Yeah, it was a pleasure to work with.
do you think like the enemies, for example, now they were coming from this corner and this corner. If I build double palisade here, would they have the logic and be smart enough to go around here where there's less palisades, not so thick, or not?
Yes,
Like how do they
yes.
their logic works?
Yeah, so the logic is calculated basically on how many obstacles they have, and
Mm-hmm.
like they somehow calculate the best path.
Mm-hmm.
And if you put a lot of palisades at one place, the cost will get so high that they will try to go around or through a weaker point.
Okay. So I'm gonna make
But
it double.
in the game it's balanced, so it's still fun for the player, right? So if the enemy was too smart, yeah, it wouldn't be very fun for gameplay.
Yeah.
But if it was too dumb, then yeah, again it wouldn't be fun. So yeah, we had to find like a correct balance between where will the units and enemies attack.
Eventually, when you start working on a new game, what will you do different? Like, for example, in the beginning of the project, what would you change? And like then in the development process and regarding marketing, what things would you do the same? What would you do different? What have you learned in this experience so far?
Yeah, of course, as we develop the game, we get better at like, not only programming, but creating the structure and hierarchy for the project. So this will improve a lot because we have this Darfall project, and some parts are already old and show some time. So with the new project, you start with a clean slate. So this definitely will improve. But other than that, I think like even I know we don't write design documents, but yeah, we will still use the agile process that we basically iterate on features fast and just talk it over, then implement it, see if it works and stuff like this. So I think this will not really change. But for the marketing, yeah, the one big advantage is that we will have already some community of players that know us, like from Darfall.
Mm-hmm.
So we will not start from zero, but yeah, we will already have some fan base, so we can show our product too. Even currently in the game, not sure if you have noticed, but there is a feedback system where you can send bug reports or feedback to us developers. Yeah, it's on the top right corner, or it's report bug feedback
There.
in the
Yeah.
main menu.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anything right here, it's not. Don't worry, guys. It's not forgotten. We read every single one of it. It's actually sent to our system in a ClickUp, and we get tasks created for this. Yeah, so this is, I think, very nice feature that we have, that we can, like, you as a player don't really have to close the game and go to other window, go to some forum and report back there, but you can do it straight from the game. So it's very easy to do.
So it automatically pauses. I can write what's wrong, continue with my game, and just like that, right?
Yeah. It also captures the screenshot if you want to include it from the game, right? So if you said like the orc doesn't have HP, or the orc, something is bugged with him, we can already see that, there is some issue with it. So this also helps.
So first, like, you have to position your screen where it shows that, and then it takes the current screenshot, right?
Yes. The best marketing is when players can play your game, because showing some pictures of the game that players cannot play is nice, but it doesn't really engage the audience, because it's much better if your audience can already play the game and test their stuff, and maybe we create some develop about a new unit like necromancer or some demon, and players can already like see that in the game. So it's always better to like do marketing when you have a playable build, which we do right now. Which is the free demo in Steam.
Where's the music from?
So yeah, the music and the sounds. Actually, this is very strange, because we are not sound artists and we haven't hired any sound artists for a project. So all the music and all the sounds we have in our game are basically from free assets and free sources that are for public domain. And a lot of people actually say that the music and the atmosphere is very nice in our game, which we are really surprised, because it hasn't been tweaked or modified by any sound artist. So we as complete amateurs in music try to do our best, and people like it for some reason. So we are happy. We're very happy with the outcome.
What was like the most difficult thing to implement?
Definitely the AI, like the artificial intelligence for the enemies, your workers, and stuff like this. I think I used like 3 or 4 solutions for the AI, and I rewrote them completely, like each time. Like from the start, it was just all in code. It was very bad. Then I used some behavior tree system, but it was all again in the code, and it was still very bad. Like when the AI got a bit complex, so your workers, they had to eat, they had to run, they had to hide. I just couldn't keep up. It was too much, and then I basically discovered that there is a plugin. It's called Behavior Designer in Unity, and it's a very fun plugin. So you basically have this tree, like visual tree, and you configure the nodes, and basically how you configure them into the tasks. This is how your AI will behave. And like this was like the approach that we went with. I mean, it's still very hard, but it's far more manageable than before. And like the hardest parts are these bugs that like the AI people like say that the AI or the orc started running, or the enemy archer just fired an arrow into wrong direction. Like this is very hard to debug from our side and to test out and to reproduce, because the AI can do a lot of stuff. And if the conditions are not there, that we cannot reproduce it and fix the bug. So the AI was the nightmare. And also the pathfinding, the pathfinding is basically, it tells your units or enemies where they can move so they reach some destination, right? So this is pathfinding, and this was again very, very hard to implement. Yeah, so it's like the AI, the pathfinding is like one of the most complex thing in the strategy games, in RTS games.
So mostly when you mention this, you're talking about the enemies and the heroes and the workers, right?
Yes, and yes. So the undeads, yeah, and your units, the archers, the spearmen, and this is the AI, basically, the artificial
What about
intelligence.
then the part for like procedurally generated maps? Is that like a lot easier, or is it simpler, or?
It was, yeah, like this, maybe from like the outside perspective, it feels complicated. I mean, it is, but compared to the AI, it was piece of work cake. Because we designed a very robust but simple system to generate our map with rules, and we can script it easily. So this is basically, I would say, the easier part, the generation.
As you said, you started alone and it was more like a 2D, and then maybe you changed it like 2 or 3 times, right? Before you joined together with Martin. So now my question is actually, when you started collaborating then with Martin, did you almost have to start from scratch because you changed the idea at that point so much, or were you able to keep some parts of what you had?
So actually, we didn't start from scratch when I joined up with Martin. So I already had like a product in some state. Like you could already be in a generated map. You could build buildings, defend against attacks. So this was implemented. So then we just started improve on game design, add heroes and stuff like this. So it was already a working project when Martin started. And I think this is the same project that was 5 or 6 years ago when I started the 2D game, basically. So some parts are very old, but yeah, we keep it maintained quite good.
Did you actually switch to 3D when Martin joined, or a little bit before already?
A little bit before, yeah, it was already 3D and already you could build and fight as here. But of course, the UI, some effects and abilities just weren't there. It was just a really bare bones version of the game.
At what point did you decide that you want to make it polished and big enough to put on Steam?
It was 2 years ago, basically when I joined up with Martin and started to get more serious. Because before that, I was just one guy doing this as a hobby, and just messing around, and I was doing it more as a programmer, creating game, than as really creating game and putting it on Steam, right? So it wasn't anything serious enough, and I didn't think I could ever put it on Steam. And if I were to be still myself, so if I were to be still the only developer, I wouldn't be able to do it alone. Never. The amount of work that Martin put up with marketing, with the Steam page, with all the text and artwork, it's insane. It's just, I don't think it's possible to do it alone. So I really give big credits to guys who can do it themselves and can release a game on Steam themselves, because it's very, very hard. Yeah, and the rewards are, I would say, quite small, because you would get paid more by working for a company than to just do indie development. And it's also big like morale support that you have some other teammates, because you know that you're not alone in this, and you have some other pillar in your development that is there with you.
Would you also say that maybe like this prevents the project to stall for a longer period? Because maybe like when you work alone, you have maybe days when the project just stands, or like you go and do some other things because you're maybe a little bit tired of it. But once you're in the team, maybe you feel a bit more obligated and also motivated to continue quicker and more often, or not? Like, I don't know.
Yes, definitely. Basically, exactly what you said. When I was working on this loan and previous projects, they either died off because the project was so big that I got bored and wanted to start something new. Or, for example, with this project, I took like half a year break and just didn't do any game development at all. But right now, yes, basically we have, and I have responsibility to finish the project. So there is like almost no chance that the project will get abandoned or not finished yet. So we are really pouring everything we have into this and making it as best as we can. With all the feedback and bug reports, it all really helps.
Is there anything else you would like to share about the whole developing of the game?
Before like I joined up with Martin, I didn't know how important it is to like work with somebody. If you guys are developing something yourself, it's very beneficial to have somebody you can share this with and who can help you, like some friend or maybe some colleague. Because it like completely changes the entire development for you. And as we mentioned, it has a lot of benefits, like you really take it more seriously. And it's much higher chance that you will finish up your project.
Yeah, and faster and more polished because each person then focuses on some things, right? You kind of
Yes,
divide the
yes.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also some person like you can test and balance the game more than yourself, because for example, I as a programmer, are like I am not like I cannot look at this like out of the box, but if somebody else like takes a look at it and says that that some things need to change and like this is not balanced, and he can maybe make better decisions because he is taking like a bird's eye view on the project.